aus Vienna. I'm representing my old days and my new days. First, I'm going to speak about a different kind of startup story, more like a fuck-up story, that played out like a fairy tale, like a Hollywood movie or Silicon Valley movie. Me and my friends a few years ago launched another business, and we named it Palleter. It was, I think, fifth or fourth we were together in. Before we had built small niche startups, and now we wanted to go big, do something in a really big market, something that could have impact if we did it right. We wanted to do a real startup with funding going by the book, and go big if it's possible, or fail fast if we are doing something wrong. We had everything set correctly. This was really by the book. We started with an awesome idea. Yeah, you know, ideas are never very good in themselves, but they can be bad. So it wasn't a bad idea. It was a really, really good idea to build a predictive logistics marketplace. So something that wasn't possible before because the technology wasn't just there, the time wasn't right before. So we were starting a business in a field just in the right time. The competition was just starting, different people in the world having the same ideas. The technology was just there. Now, the opportunity was massive. The trucking industry is one of the biggest industries in the world. It was hugely fragmented and very old school. So technology is a really good thing to put into place in an old school, large, fragmented industry. So we wanted to build something that could have an impact of hundreds of billions of dollars if we do it right. No, we didn't want to. We didn't go out to build $100 billion business, but we wanted to do something that don't have the upper roof on top of it, like we had before in our other businesses. And the idea was really simple: to track where the trucks are, to pool up 1 million trucks in Europe, connect them in real time to our cloud, then do some next level shit data science to predict where the trucks are going to be next. That's the crucial piece. That's the value. And then match this info to load offers, so connect supply, the trucks, and demand, the millions of pieces of cargo that is sent across Europe every day, later across the world. And we had also the team right. We had the perfect team. We had been in this business, in startup business before. One of us was one of the first investors of Taxify, so recognized early on the potential there. The core legends of Skype, people who had built multiple businesses before and seen the startup world before it was a startup world. And third component, the execution. We did this also by the book. We didn't start with writing code. We started with the business side. We connected trucks before we had a real product for the carrier companies to use. So we kickstarted the classical problem of having the chicken and egg problem in the marketplaces, where you need to have a supply and you need to have a demand at the same time, but neither will come if the other is already not there. So we got the supply growing. Hundreds of trucks were added in just weeks to our system. Everybody wanted to be part of this future. They didn't have to do anything. It was latent supply of truck space. The product looked so good that everybody wanted to marry it. So everything was perfect. Everything was set for success. If we dive deeper, the crucial thing, the hypothesis was really attractive. By analyzing the market and interviewing the market participants, we set up 3 hypotheses to validate. Everything pointed that there is a lot of free space available in trucks. And the carrier companies are willing to actually pick extra loads up, and that they are going to offer very good prices, because if we do this matching right, then the trucks that are anyway going back from Paris to Tallinn, they would be picking up loads that are on the way and need to be delivered on the way. If we have enough supply and enough demand, then matching this should be easy. And if you're anyway doing your usual business and having a little bit extra, it should be competitive. And everything really was pointing to success. Carriers were signing up and were telling us that this will work, they want this, it would improve their lives. Shippers were intrigued, a much more streamlined way to do their work in the spot market of getting unusual loads from one place to another. Everybody liked the idea, everybody liked our pitches. We won every award we fought for. We were accepted to do great accelerators, and we had investors lined up to give us money. So, perfect setup. Until the failure kicked in. It turned out that the hypothesis was incorrect. All the hypotheses were far too optimistic. Everybody was selling those hypotheses back to us. We sold them, they sold back. Everybody was happy. But in real life, it turned out that the trucks are not willing to take those loads as often as we needed them to take them. They were much more in hurry than they had told us in interviews, and they had much less space available than the statistics and interviews showed. And they were opportunistic. They didn't want to add a few extra bucks. They were just playing that they have the truck filled enough to not be in loss, to be barely profitable, and this final thing, let's ask so much that it will be high margin. So usually they didn't offer the price that customers would be happy to pay. Of course, sometimes it worked. When it worked, it was spectacular. Getting some load from Milan to Tallinn faster than anyone else with a pretty okay pricing, and just with this matching that there is a truck, it's coming back, prediction was right, and they wanted to take the load. But it was too seldom. Usually it just didn't work like this. And we had been doing it for quite some time. There was actually one pivot before where we didn't gather the supply online like this. We didn't connect the trucks, but instead tried to go with a suite of software for the trucking companies who were still doing everything manually on paper and in maximum occasion in Excel. So, but implementing software, even if it's free, is hard. You can't switch to bicycle if you are busy running. So we switched to this much better idea of connecting trucks in a latent fleet. And by the time these hypotheses were going bust, we were just so exhausted of going without salary, trying to make a change in a market that was not willing to change, that we decided to close everything, shut it down, instead of doing yet another pivot, instead of taking the €1 million that was lined up waiting for us. Because we saw that this won't be enough, and we were not willing to take any more risks at this point, where maybe the right decision would have been to take the money and struggle on, go like a startup. But at that point, we decided that it's game over for us, and now the only question is how to go about it. Should we be quietly dissolving into oblivion, or should we go out to the bank, overhype everything like we did before, overhype the bank also? And that's what we did. We wrote up a really good blog post about closing the company, invalidating the hypothesis, and it went viral. It was so good that it brought us a new beginning in the end. It wasn't planned, but right after we had published it, the shoulder pats virtual started to come in. People were saying, thank you, I've been in a similar position and I didn't know what to do. You're very brave, you're very courageous, stuff like that. We weren't. We were not taking the risk. We weren't brave enough to get killed. We wanted to live. And then offers started to come in. Some people wanted to hire us, some people wanted to acquire us, some people wanted tech. But over a few weeks, some really interesting offers came in. And for the following months, we were negotiating with two potential buyers, and decided in the end that we will be acquired by TPG Capital, one of the biggest private equity companies in the world. And the reason was that they sold us their vision of what could be done with this team and this software that we have built in a different industry. And we founded a new company together with them, added a CEO from Vienna to the mix, and called it Sixfold. And now what we are doing is having the same technology that we built up, connecting trucks, but providing service to, not on the spot market, to small companies wanting to ship stuff, but to the biggest producers in the world. Think of like Coca-Cola, companies like Coca-Cola who have hundreds of trucks every day shipping their goods to retailers or shipping stuff into their terminals, into their warehouses, their factories, and they have no eyes. When you are ordering underpants from Amazon, you see where those are. At any point you know when they will be arriving. But with those massive producers, they have no eyes until we came in. And we are doing great. We have, as of today, 31 people, 3 offices, Tallinn, Tartu, Vienna. We're going to grow probably twice as big this year. We have a product market fit first basic level found, first big customers, nothing of which we foresee when we started Palleter. The pivot was very unusual, but it was the pivot that we needed. Just still incredible that it's possible to go this way of shutting things down and then getting investment, getting everything that we wanted to build next trucking or next logistics revolution. And there will be more business models once we've grown from tens of thousands of trucks to hundreds of thousands of trucks. All the data that we're gathering, all the data that we have in real time about logistics brings us stuff brings us opportunities like Palleter initially wanted to be, most probably. Let's see. Maybe I'm here in 5 years and telling the story how we ended up building something completely different. The learnings are that recognize failure, don't be afraid to fail, but I can't say that do exactly like we did. I doubt that this is the way to go. It was a sudden success from a huge failure. Maybe we should have pivoted ourselves and found this industry ourselves, but we just didn't have more oxygen left in us. We needed more oxygen from somewhere outside. But definitely, go out with a bang. If you're closing down your stuff, do it with a bang, because good things happen. At least you can go next day with clear consciousness, clear sheet, start anew. This slow dissolving of your companies, no one needs this. Thank you. That was it.
Mic drop, huh?
No.
You can't drop this. So I would like to say maybe add one thing to the story, which is timing. You know, there's a lot of actually research done on why actually teams fail. And you had everything. You had fundraising. You had the excellent team. You had the product that had the opportunity, and
yes.
still you failed.
Yes.
So, and you said, you know, that when you made this decision, and I read this blog post, I remember this press release that you're closing down, and I felt like, wow, that they are so smart. They understood that the time is not right for this kind of product. And that you actually closed it down because, you know, maybe there will be a better time. And it's amazing that, you know, Sixfold kind of came there on the right time, gave you this opportunity, and now you're kicking asses with your team, right?
But it's only learning from the rearview mirror. We didn't expect any of this.
Yeah, like Steve Jobs said, you know, you can only connect the dots later. So one thing, one personal question. Do you feel that you have the redemption now?
Redemption? There is no redemption for business people.
Oh my God!
You never win. Apple has not won.
Yeah.
They are just on top now, right now, but they will be not existent in 100 years.
Yeah, actually, I totally agree, because I was on one AI conference, and then they said like 75% of the top Forbes 500 companies are dead in the next 10 to 15 years. So
enjoy while it lasts, right?
Yeah, so, yeah, I definitely enjoyed your talk. Thank you, Tõnu. Here you go.
Enjoy.